And we are live. What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counter Punch Boxing News. It's early Sunday morning to me, actually. Well, I think. No, it's about 10:20 my time. And the topic today, I'll let the chat load because there's not too many people on the chat. Um, there's two on the chat. Counterpunch to you guys. Hit the like button as you come in. But the topic today is the relationship between Tyson Fury and Javon Hill. You know, and the question is, will these guys stay together? What type of relationship do they really have? I'll let the chat load. Let it load. Yes, sir. The relationship between John Fury, or should I say, Javon Sugar Hill and Tyson Fury, you know, it looks genuine. It looks genuine to me because I know, of course, he met Javon Sugar Hill earlier, back when Emmanuel Stewart was around, and I feel that it's one of those things where if Javon and Tyson Fury have a close enough knit relationship, you shouldn't have any problem with disconnect. And what I mean by that is, when everything's going right, I notice people, fighters and trainers tend to stay together. They don't have any problems. But as soon as someone takes a loss, then you have a problem. And that's the crazy thing about it. So, the question is, what will happen if Javon Sugar Hill and Tyson Fury take a loss together? If Tyson Fury loses, because of course, if the fighter loses, the trainer loses. So, you guys hit the like button. I'm not sure if everybody's getting a notification that I'm live. I'll do the best on my part, but that's pretty much all I can do. Hey, we got a like. That's what's up. That means somebody's listening. So, yeah, we have some weird stuff in the sport now, man. It's things that you think you know that you don't know. We have Abel Sanchez, Triple G, Manny Robles, Andy Ruiz, um, Danny Jacobs, Andre Rozier. Who else do we have that was just really tight, and then they're no longer fighting together? They're not training, and well, Manny Pacquiao and Late Tumas. What's up, brother? Kind of punch to you. Um, and Freddie Roach, they had their outs for a while, but eventually they came back together. So that was something that was good. Ope Hazard, Kurt, what happened to your main channel? I believe this is the main channel, right? I think it's the main channel. Yeah, it is the main channel. um, yeah, this is the main channel. Still not fixed. No, this is the main channel. I think. I could be wrong though. I mean, now that I have two platforms, I put in pretty much. No, it's on the main channel. Smoking Joe, safe. Kurt, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. But no, Javon Sugar Hill and Tyson Fury. One thing I like is like that Mickey versus Rocky type of relationship. You know what I mean? I admire that about the sport of boxing. And then you have a lot of fighters that have loyalty to their fighters, or to their trainers rather. And you see that, and then you ask yourself, is that loyalty based on success or is that loyalty based on loyalty? And then the only way you'll really know that is if someone takes an L, someone loses, something doesn't go according to plan. Those type of things have to happen when you're dealing with loyalty to see who's loyal and who's not. Even if you look back, you look at Shane Mosley and Jack Mosley. You look at Felix Trinidad Jr. and Felix Trinidad Sr. You're looking at a lot of these, and the Trinidad stayed pretty close-knit, and I'm pretty sure if Miguel Cotto, if his father was still alive, he would have been in his corner, but his father, unfortunately passed away. I think he had cancer. Do you think Fury would hire Mark Breland? Look, that's the crazy thing about that. I was going to get to that. I finished a video about that, so stay tuned for that. And because he did promise that, right? But Brian, he's a man of, if he's a man of his word, but I know Tyson Fury says many things and does many other things, right? But I just think it's really stupid. I just really think it's stupid for Wilder to fire Mark Breland now. And if it's in like what I was told, and guys, stay tuned for some real exclusive content, because what I was told, excuse me, just ate breakfast. But what I was told was that Mark Breland was fired months ago. He was fired after the fight. So if you guys seen my exclusive interview with Spencer Farron and Pro Bees, okay, it showed that this guy, Deontay Wilder, locked out Mark Breland in the dressing room and had Mark Breland crying outside the dressing room because he wasn't allowed in. Now, of course, that was a rumor. I heard it wasn't true, but now, how do we know it's not true now? I mean, what do we have to really go on? Because that's not what I've heard. That was sources from the knowledge. He said that people told him that Mark Breland wasn't even allowed in the dressing room at all. And, based on what I was told yesterday, that was pretty credible. So if Mark Breland was fired that long ago, if he was, why is it just now coming out? Why is Shelly Finkel just now releasing, oh, well, he's fired? You know what I mean? I don't know. Because I really don't know what the true facts are. And the truth of the matter is we probably will never know what the true facts are, because if everyone's saying different shit, even the person that you look for, the gift horse himself, even if Wilder said certain things, they all end up being contradicting at the end of the day. They all contradict each other. When you're dealing with Wilder, you're dealing with people around Wilder, you're dealing with the management of Wilder, But to answer your question, should Tyson Fury hire Mark Breland? I think that would be the smartest thing you could ever do, especially if that was the case. D-Town Blaster, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Hope everyone has a good Sunday. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. But no, if I'm Tyson Fury, that's exactly what I would do. I would hire Mark Breland in a millisecond. See, basically, if Mark Breland was fired months ago, and they're just making it common knowledge, I think that's letting the green light out. Let's get to 50,000 subscribers for Honest Boxing YouTuber from Nepal. What's up, brother? Thank you. We'll get there. We're almost at 43,000. So 7 more thousand before we get to 50, then 50 to 100. It ain't gonna stop at 50. This channel's gonna grow, but it's gonna grow with real people that respect real opinions, and real footage and real unbiased content. So who's the snake in the camp? That's They, speaking of, I guess they are suggesting it's Breland now without actually saying it. Smoking Joe, I guess they are. But of course, I'm going to do a video on that. But looking at that, I mean, what else can we go by? I mean, shit. If you're saying snakes, that means one or more, right? That means more than one. So it wasn't just Mark Breland. So basically, if he was saying something without saying something, 100% Teddy Atlas is morphing into Mickey from Rocky. Yeah, he is. He is. Absolutely. He's just that old school. He's that last of. He's the last of that old school. Hold on a second. Yeah, he's definitely Mickey from Rocky and Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas is like that guy trained by Custom Auto to be like a trainer. He was a hell of a fighter, hell of a look. Teddy Atlas had one of the most fearless, shortest tempers I've ever seen on a smaller guy. Because Teddy Atlas is not a big dude. He's maybe about like 5'10", maybe, you know what I mean? Probably in his as he was younger, yeah, because I mean he was about 5'10", 5'11", because Mike, he was about the same height as Mike, because he used to train Mike, he used to co-train Mike, and after that altercation with Mike, which I'm gonna do a video on, man, when I have the time. D-Town Blaster, listen to the guys, hit the like button, guys. Listen to D-Town Blaster, you know, so people can be notified of this, because there's a lot of people that is not even knowing that I have, they're not even getting notifications. So hit the like button for the 22 on the chat. You know, keep it going up. We got 23 on the chat. Let's get 23 likes, and so forth and so forth. But Teddy Atlas was a short-tempered dude. He was very passionate about what he does. You know, he smells and breathes boxing, and he's been around so long that he's seen so many things that it's kind of like, you know, the ins and outs. You know what I mean? You watch something and you pretty much know what happens, and you're able to unravel what the fighter did wrong. You know, Sir Oku, thank you, brother. Counterpunch to you. And you see, Teddy Atlas is just, look, he's that guy. He is like, if boxing trainers were monks, Teddy Atlas would be a boxing monk. Going on a bike ride. I enjoy your channel. Have a good one. Brian McNichols, appreciate it, man. Have a safe bike ride. That would be good on a Sunday. It's beautiful here, man. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. You know, going to the gym later, definitely. They're a great partnership, and they seem to be great friends, too. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it appears to be. That's why I like controversy and trials and tribulations, because it shows these things, it proves these things, it reveals these things. Like, yeah, they look good now because Tyson Fury has never took a loss. He's never taken a professional loss in his life. Javon Sugar Hill is a prodigy. He's the ancestor of a great trainer, right? In training himself. Emmanuel Stewart, Kronk's Gym. You guys know the story. If you don't, Emmanuel Stewart trained many, many, many people. You know, Lennox Lewis, Vladimir Klitschko. He trained many, many people. Okay, and then unfortunately he passed away. You know, his time was up. But his nephew was learning under him. Okay, and his nephew was Javon Sugar Hill. So if you want to look for the remains of some great trainers, the remains is what we have. Javon Sugar Hill is the remains of that greatness. Just like Teddy Atlas is the remains, which is far more advanced than Sugar Hill by far because he's older, been more experienced. He was around Custom Auto, but he's the remains of Custom Auto. These trainers, man, especially Teddy Atlas, Javon Sugar Hill, he's a laid back cat. But you can tell that he's serious about his craft. because I can tell the camaraderie in the conversation they had while they were doing that IFL television or IFL YouTube video, that interview. Javon was, was like, hey, don't talk them up, because Tyson Fury was posting pictures of Deontay looking hard and crisp, and Andy Ruiz throwing 4 or 5 punch combinations, and Anthony Joshua throwing those hard uppercut to hook combinations, and he was like praising them, and Javon was like, "Yo, don't do that." You know what I mean? I disagree with that. They're going to be your opponents one day. And you know something? If you really look back, if you've watched boxing like I have, which I hope a lot of you have, you've seen other cases like that. Customato did that to Mike Tyson back in the late 80s. Okay? When Tyson used to spar with Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, and Lennox Lewis were pretty damn close because, they sparred together. Lennox Lewis was a tall, lanky guy. Mike Tyson, of course, the thick neck, sharp, had this dynamite physique. And, he was all hugging on Lennox Lewis and talking to him and stuff. And Customato was like, hey, what are you, crazy? That's going to be your opponent one day. Customato died, sure, but at the end of the day, he was absolutely right. He was his opponent. So, it's one of those things, is that mentality you have as a trainer, knowing like, hey, you can't get too close to somebody to reveal certain things about yourself that may impact a future fight. So, Javon's carrying that same spirit, that same mindset, and it's good. It's good. It's militant. It shows discipline. Like, yo, okay, that's good and all, but don't give them confidence like that. Don't give them anything. The great partnership. Okay, Lennox Lewis was trained by Emmanuel Stewart. Yes, he was doing your Bob Arum voice for Cuss. Well, I mean, they're both old. Customato was old, but back in the day, they all got that. Hey, yeah, Mike, where's my damn ice cream, Mike? I don't know, Cuss. He hides it and shit. So, yeah, and Bob, he's damn near 90. Shit, that's crazy. But Bob, man, you got to give it to Bob. He has some longevity, don't he? Bob, it's a lot of people, man, that's came and went, and Bob's still here. That's longevity. Longevity. But no, I just definitely want to see I want to see some type of resistance, some type of, because even in the Otto Wallin fight, Javon wasn't there yet. He wasn't in the picture yet. Ben Davison was still there. And Ben Davison, that's a whole different, story. It's a whole different topic. But Ben Davison, he was with Billy Joe Saunders. Now Billy Joe Saunders and them, they're not training either. He was training Tyson Fury, of course, and now they're not training. So it's one of those things, man, where it's, I don't know Ben Davison. I think he has a lot of learning to do himself. Maybe a lot of it had to do with ego or entitlement, with him and Tyson. So, when Javon came around, I don't think he liked the idea of Javon being the head trainer. He didn't like the game plan. He didn't like the blueprint to fight Wilder on the second fight. For that reason, he left. Okay, so, but Javon and Tyson Fury seem to be pretty solid. But I just wonder how solid is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, how solid is Javon and Tyson? Fury will get exposed when he faces a true top five. You got a point, and it makes me think of Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is a guy that he does certain things, then he gets out of Dodge with them. Like, he'll fight Wilder, and then, he's the best. But you got to fight everybody to remain where you say you're at. That's my problem with Mayweather. I mean, late in his career. See, guys, understand something about Mayweather. Mayweather's supposed to have been defeated by now. You know, if he was going to be defeated or not, he could have went out like Lennox Lewis, got in a tough fight, won that fight, but then never came back. He could have been one of those if he would have fought someone that actually challenged him, instead of, hey, let me go where the money is. But to me, that's a love-hate relationship with me with Bog. Floyd Mayweather is the epitome of the sport that I love, that I hate so much. Okay, to dip into Floyd for a second. A lot of people like, hey man, why do you don't like Floyd? It's not the fact that I don't like Floyd. I just think Floyd wasted his skills. He wasted his skills. But then he wasted his skills fighting people that he was a lot better than anyway. He had no business fighting Marcos Maidana. Marcos Maidana should have fought Adrian Broner. But of course, if you were Marcos Maidana, what would you rather fight? A rematch with Broner or Floyd? So yeah, but I'm not talking about Marcos. I'm talking about Floyd. Kurt, did you see my question? What was your question, bro? No, I didn't see it. No, I didn't see the question. Yeah, send it again. No, I didn't get your question. That's weird because I don't see it. But no, back to Floyd. I mean, Floyd was in a position where he could have fought the toughest guys, but he didn't do it at the time he had the opportunity to do it. But when Floyd was Pretty Boy and he wanted to fight those guys that were making more money than him, were more known than him, that people respected more than him, he couldn't get those fights. He could not get those fights. And I'm talking about Prince Asim Ahmed. Prince Asim Ahmed, back in the day, back in the late 90s, if fame or notoriety wise, he was the man. He was the man of the little people. I think Tyson, growing up, fought everyone he was supposed to, including Chisora, Klitschko, and even David Haye fight. He wanted it, but Haye didn't. He came back to fight Wilder and wants to fight AJ. Yeah, Nana, don't get me wrong. I mean, Tyson, he fought Wilder, but I think he called out Wilder because he knew that was the missing link. He knew that was the weakest link between fighting someone like Joshua or fighting someone like Wilder. Wilder's very, very dangerous, but then it's not impossible to beat him based on the people he's been in the ring with, and they've gave him problems. His gray matter has just overloaded. Man, Freddie. But Floyd has fought everybody. I don't understand who else was missing there. Okay. Winky Wright. Vernon Forrest. Though that was earlier. I mean, there was no reason he didn't fight Winky Wright. Vernon Forrest, I know he was killed, but I think that was after he retired. Who didn't he fight? Who else didn't he fight? Later in his career, he could have fought those young guys. He didn't want to. You know, he gets full credit for beating Canelo because Canelo was a grown ass man. So that I'm not one of those guys sitting here telling people, oh man, he fought Canelo young. No, he didn't. Canelo was a pro 7 years at that point. No, Canelo was beating guys like Sugar Shane Mosley and guys like that. He was there. He was a very good opponent. So yeah, Floyd dusted him. But that's what I'm talking about. If Floyd can dust, here's the deal. If I'm Floyd Mayweather, I beat Canelo, right? Then you see other fighters like Thurman, Lara, who else was like the Charlos? Not even, because they were too young at the time. But I would have liked Mayweather to fight not Triple G. It was just too damn big. He could have fought Triple G, but I mean, I don't think that would have been warranted for him at that point. He should have fought Lara, Winky Wright. Who else was it? He was going to fight Paul the Punisher Williams, which that would have been a very good fight because Paul Williams throws so many punches. But it could have just really been another Diego Corrales, because Floyd was just that good. But Floyd was short, like Lara, you know. Yeah, Lara was really good. I mean, he was. I mean, I see him declining right now, but he would have been that guy because I think he was better skilled than Zab Judah. Zab Judah gave Floyd problems, but Lara was one of those guys that like, yo, I don't want to fuck with that guy. I don't want to take a risk with that guy. You know, so I think Floyd, he picked smarter fights later. You know, when they say, you know, instead of working harder, you work smarter, I think he was working smarter with the matchmaking. You fight Maidana twice. Come on, man. You could beat Maidana. I beat Maidana twice. But Maidana wasn't his fight. Maidana was a guy that he beat his little brother up. So his brother should have had that opportunity. You know, and his little brother was supposed to be Adrian Broner. Costa Zoo would have been a good fight for him. That would have been a very good fight for him. I think he would have beat Costa Zoo. You know, and a lot of times, and here's the thing about me. I think Floyd has the skills to beat all the people I mentioned. However, if you don't prove it, we will never know it. You can't sit here and boast and say, yeah, this would have happened. I'm not one of those dudes. Yeah, he would have done that. I believe he could have beat a lot of those guys, and that would have defined him as a fighter. And I think the bitterness of Floyd not being able to, when he was with Bob Arum, not being able to fight the guys that, like Prince Asim Ahmed, he called out Prince Asim Ahmed. And even the guys at Showtime, Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley, he's not going to fight you, especially Larry Merchant. He's not going to fight you, Floyd. He's too small. Oh, okay, but he was 126 pounds and Floyd was 130. What's the difference between what Gervonta Tank Davis is doing? Now, if we look at everything as a full circle and retrospect, we see now Floyd is living vicariously through Gervonta Tank Davis. Think about it. All the fights Gervonta Tank Davis is doing now, they're all been fighters from 126 and below 130. And he's been doing that, and he's been matching those guys together because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to beat Barrera. He wanted to beat Morales. Think about Morales. Who was Morales signed with back in the day, if you guys can remember? Bob Arum. So was Oscar De La Hoya. So was Floyd Mayweather. Those fights could have been made. Those fights were denied. Okay? Floyd wanted those fights. He couldn't get those fights. He couldn't. So that's my problem with, I think, with Floyd. And I think that's the reason why he's like, you know what? Fuck all these hard fights. I don't want to fight these hard. Why would I fight Lara at 39? You know what I mean? Even though Lara now is like 37 and he's 43. But why would you fight someone who's probably just as skilled, pure boxer, won't give you too many things to counter off of? That's why Canelo had hell with him. Canelo's a counter puncher. He's a good puncher, but he looks for openings. He's looking for certain things you do. If you don't open up, Canelo really can't do anything. Lara didn't open up. When Lara opened up, it was either a jab, right hand, right? Right hook at times. But that alone beat Canelo because Canelo had no answer for any of that shit but body punching. You know, and it was his show. So he was the cash cow. So by that time, it is what it is. He fought Pac-Man too late, fought Canelo too young, fought De La Hoya too old. Well, look, hold on. Pac-Man was younger than him, Flying Eagle. He was younger than him. Now, could he have fought him earlier? This is what I do think, Flying Eagle. I think he thought Pac-Man was juicing. Or if he wasn't juicing, he was afraid of what Pac-Man was doing at the time. That bothered him. So in Floyd's mind, his egotistical mind, if Pacquiao ain't juicing, then I'm lying. Because he thought he's juicing. He said it. He said it on many rants. He thought that Pac-Man's on the juice. He said Pac-Man's on the juice. Pac-Man is he's doing things that he don't supposed to do coming from 105. You know, and he ain't the only one that said that. But guess what? He was one of the first to say it. He started that shit. Floyd did. Because people started comparing what Pacquiao was doing to what Floyd did. You know, was De La Hoya too old? No, De La Hoya was not too old. De La Hoya fucked up by fighting Pacquiao to catch weight. Okay? So no, he wasn't too old. And look how that fight happened. Look how it ended. Split decision. That shit should have been ran back. But it just shows you. That's a prime example, though, of what Floyd wanted versus what he didn't. Floyd is, let me tell you, Floyd's philosophy in fighting: get the money, take less punishment, fuck everything else. That's Floyd. That's money Floyd. Because when he fought De La Hoya, he had a hard fight. Did he beat De La Hoya to the punch at times? Yes, he did. Did he deflect a lot of those punches in that assault that De La Hoya did? Yes, he did. But did De La Hoya give him hell? Yes, he did. Did his father think De La Hoya won? Yes, he did. See, these are facts. Okay? De La Hoya, Floyd Jr., Floyd Sr. said, I think De La Hoya won. And he didn't want to fight De La Hoya again. So when you look at those type of things, and that was in '07, okay? Yeah, I think it was May 5th or May 7th of 2007. And it was one hell of a fight. And, Oscar De La Hoya had a rematch clause. So he never gave him that rematch, though. And it was actually kind of like Mayweather pulled some Tyson Fury shit, but it just wasn't as messy, honestly. You know, the best fighters come from Michigan. Ooh. I have to think Costanza could have beat him. Okay, Kurt, I think Floyd should have fought Pacquiao. Do both the same age, around the same age. Pacquiao would have beat him in his prime. I don't know. I think again, a certain point of time, Floyd was afraid of Pacquiao because Pacquiao was doing shit he didn't supposed to do, being who he was. Because nobody could do that but him. But that's Floyd. Floyd thinks that way. Floyd thinks don't compare nobody to me. Nobody can be better than me. I'm better than anybody. I did everything or everything more than anybody else has done in the history of boxing. That's what Floyd said. He said that shit last week. So you can tell the mindset of a dude like Floyd. If you understand his mindset, you also understand that he cannot be compared to anybody else. So whatever he does is better than anybody else. That would have been a great fight. Yeah. Mayweather versus Khan. And that's another one. Boom. Glad you brought that up. Mayweather versus Khan have been a good fight. He would have beaten Khan, but it would have been interesting. Your thoughts, please. Wasim Butt. Okay. This is my thoughts on Khan versus Mayweather. Sure, Khan has got upset by Danny Garcia. Yeah. British Prescott. Yeah. All these guys are heavy thumpers. I get it. But Khan called out Floyd. Khan was very fast. Khan was tall. Khan had combinations. Khan had he had some crack. And I think the style of Khan would have gave Floyd problems. Why? Because of how Khan delivers punches. They're straight. He threw straight punches. And anything you can catch Floyd with half-assed at the time is with a jab or with a straight right. Okay, you can't counter a lot of jabs, especially when someone's pulling a 1-2 on you. If you try to pull counter someone that's throwing a combination on you, you're gonna get nailed. Just like Maidana nailed him in the second fight, if you guys can remember that. He tried to do a pull counter, and when he done that, he just anticipated one jab. A pull counter is only good for one jab, or at the end of the last jab that fighter is. So if that fighter threw, so if that fighter's throwing a triple jab, 1, 2, 3, and then you time it, then you come back with your right hand. Okay, that's that. But if that fighter comes with something after that jab, something straight, meaning the right hand, you're going to get caught, just like he got caught with Maidana, and he lucky that shit didn't knock him out. And that shows you something about Floyd's chin. He got a chin. He just don't like to take punches. He's very defensively sound, but I mean, who the hell wants to take punches at the end of the day? But Khan, he ducked Khan. He did. He ducked Khan. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to prove it. Mayweather put on a poll. Now, this is right after Maidana beat Adrian Broner. When Maidana beat Adrian Broner, Floyd went to his Twitter and he set up a poll and he said, who would you like me to fight? And he picked 2 names. One name was Amir Khan The second name, or the other name, was Marcos Maidana. There was no other, because a lot of people was like, well, why don't you just put Pacquiao in there, and everyone would have picked Pacquiao from default. But he only chose two, and everyone, it was like, I think it was like 60%, 60 something to like 30 something in favor of Khan people. What did he do? He picked Maidana. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, you can't say Khan was less known than Maidana, because that's bullshit. Maidana was beaten by Khan. Khan beat Maidana. And it was so funny that in an interview, Khan was like, well, Floyd said something smart to him. He said, well, wait a minute. You're fighting the guy that I beat. So what does that say about you? Counterpunch. And it shut Floyd up, because he knew, like, it's true. You're fighting Khan's leftovers? Another duck. So Lara called out Floyd a lot of times. Floyd was still fighting. People wanted a piece of Floyd. Well, Floyd was the guy. When you are that guy, everybody wants a piece of you. Look at Tyson Fury right now. Tyson Fury, everybody wants to fight Tyson Fury. He has a rematch with Wilder. Andy Ruiz called him out. Derek Chisora called him out. Dillian White's been wanting him. He was entitled until he got knocked out. A lot of people want the opportunity to fight Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury is hot property. Okay? Floyd Mayweather at that time was hot property. He probably pretty much still is. Because anytime Floyd mentions rumors to come back to the sport of boxing for how many X amount of dollars, someone is going to call him out. The last person that did it was Jermell Charlo, if you guys can remember. He's got to come see me. He's got to come to see me. I will be there first. I will give him his first loss. He's all, Jermell's that very real aggressive one, right? But yeah, Amir Khan, he ducked Amir Khan. He didn't want to fight someone that made, because and here's the thing. It's not that I feel that he couldn't beat Khan. I feel that the arrogance of Floyd Mayweather, listen to me, he doesn't want people to see him struggle. Does that make sense? Floyd wants fights. He wants showcase fights. He wants fights that make him look good. You guys understand what I'm saying? Like, if it was one of those things, where Floyd got into, that's why he didn't want to fight someone like Lara. Lara would like clearly hit him with that left, in spots in that fight before he made those adjustments with Lara, and he would make him look bad. People will start questioning how good is he. Like, take Errol Spence, for example, right now. He was the quote-unquote boogeyman, right? And then he gets into fights with higher opposition, and he just looks like a regular fighter. Floyd did not want people to look at him as just like a regular fighter. It's the facade. It's matchmaking. If you can get a guy in there with the right type of style to make you look extraordinary, you're going to do that each and every time if you're trying to sell an image. TBE is an image, people. Don't mean he can't be beat. That means that he wants people to think he can't be beat based on who he matches people up with. The fighters, that's why Maidana, look, he knew I can beat Maidana. That's why he did it a second time. Wilder did the same thing. Wilder, he fought Ortiz. He struggled with Ortiz, but he knew I can get Ortiz out of there. Ortiz is older, so he's going to be that much older when he fights him again. So he did, and he did it quicker. But that changed, that heightened the notoriety and the credibility of Wilder by doing the same thing twice that nobody else could do. That's why Luis Ortiz couldn't fight anyone else. He couldn't fight. He wasn't going to get that damn Joshua fight. That Joshua fight was for him. These people wouldn't let him because the god amongst up high was Al Haymon. He wasn't going to let that fight happen. He contacted the management of Luis Ortiz. Yo, I'm your boss. You ain't fighting Joshua. Then Al Haymon's thinking, okay, well, because if he fights Joshua and beats Joshua, then I can never sell Wilder versus Joshua when that fight can be bigger than it really was. But what happened? Both of the guys got beat. That's why Al Haymon at times, he tries to hold out, and a lot of times it really doesn't matter. He says, yo, Kurt, you big Dulce. It's been a while. Hope all has been great, my brother. How you been? I've been good, Merle. I've been very good. Kurt, do you think Floyd is ruining the sport of boxing by fighting YouTubers and fighters from UFC that he knows he can beat? Well, Eric, he's been doing that. He's been not ruining the sport of boxing. I think what it is, Floyd was just doing things his way. Like I explained to you guys, Floyd wanted to fight guys that gave him a challenge back in the day. Now he doesn't give a shit about challenge. He doesn't want to look bad in the ring now. He figures, hey, I'm an OG. Look, I've done my dues. I had my stripes, right? I got my medals. I've been to war, right? I've been in some tough fights. I've been cut once before. In the Maidana fight, he never been cut before, you know? And he figures like, hey, I've done enough to convince my fans and myself that I'm the best. Now, is he running the sport for other people? Now, yeah, but then here's the thing. Why are these guys wanting to model themselves after Floyd? That's the question you ask yourself. They shouldn't want that at all. But ruining the sport of boxing, I think he introduced. He gave people the quince, man. They bit out the apple. They were like, "Yo, we're gonna do the same thing Floyd's doing," without doing the same thing Floyd did, But yes and no. Yeah. These guys, they're not doing shit. Gervonta Tank Davis hasn't done anything to warrant anything, besides beat a lot of smaller guys. And before the record, Tank Davis is a very strong and powerful combination fighter. He's a very good fighter. But why does that even matter if he ain't fighting people that actually give him resistance, that actually challenges him? That makes no sense. You want to fight, you want him to go in there and have to figure out a guy instead of going there and blast out a little dude to make him look like he's the shit. When in actuality, this is just a person they picked to make you look like you're the shit, and you're really not. You're just a dude that had very good matchmaking. Counterpunch. Khan glass chin. Now he did have a glass chin, and I think what it is, you gotta have he doesn't have the best chin, but you have to understand something. The guys he got hit with, Canelo, Danny Garcia, even Diaz. Well, not really Diaz, but British Prescott. Those guys were hard thumpers. They were heavy-handed. All of those guys, Garcia, Canelo, Prescott. Those guys were heavy-handed, man. To be fair, and I think when he got caught with those punches, he didn't know. And yeah, he's chinny. Khan is chinny, no doubt about it. But he got hit with guys that really made him look bad. Big payday after retiring. You can hate him, but can't ignore him. Brains and timing beat speed. That's true. Lewis had the skills to beat Rahman first time round. Circumstances often dictate otherwise. If Mayweather had taken risk, he would have lost eventually. I believe that. I mean, that's just the regular progression of how things work, because it's always someone hungry, always somebody more focused than you. Even though Floyd is one focused mother sucker, his work ethic is impeccable. 400 rocking chair sit-ups, 400 shit. Well, that's what I did. 400 sit-ups, things like that. 400 jumping jacks. You're doing those like that, supersets and shit. You're bad. I mean, you're in shape. You know what I mean? The dudes, these muscles here are like these muscles here, because they're really defined, Kurt, do you think Wilder will get dropped even harder now he got rid of Mark Breland? If the fight happened, let me explain this to you. If the rematch is anything like if the trilogy is anything like the rematch, he loses, he will be beaten more. I don't know about dropped harder. He will be beaten more. And it's one of those things. Speak it, believe it, receive it. You have to be really careful on what you think you say you want. Me and Wilder I think Wilder was managed poorly. I think he got to a certain level. I think he started to believe the hype because that what do you expect? You're around people that tell you what you want to hear, and I think his ego got big because he wasn't like that at Golden Boy. If you look at Wilder, those earlier videos and stuff, I mean, he was entertaining. He had his own like Alabama style, his dance and stuff like that. The way he moved, he was unorthodox and things of that nature. But I think he started believing that, and if he got rid of Mark Breland, I think that's the worst thing he could have ever done. Me personally, and I said that, and nothing has changed about my opinion. He got rid of someone that if he's the snake in the grass, if he is, sad, man, and because I don't see a snake in the grass wanting to stop the fight for you. Now, you could argue, like, well, maybe he stopped the fight because he knew something was wrong with him or whatever, but then it's like, what warrants him being the snake in the grass? It's just too many things. Like, dude, if he would have won, there would be none of this shit. There would be none of this spoken about snake in the grass. You know what I mean? And the spike water bullshit, you can miss me with that. Why? Because if he had spiked water, that shit would have came up in his drug test. They would have been, because think about it. If he took that night, that shit would have still been in his system by that later that night, because they have to drug test right after that fight. That would have been there still, whatever it was. And then they would have seen, okay, well, there was proof. Then I would have been just like all those LDBC dudes. Well, I mean, damn, he did have that in his system. If that made him slow down, or if it was some kind of drug that altered his reflexes and shit like that. Yeah, I mean, then I would have seen that. That's why I can't roll with those dudes, because those dudes are making up shit where there's no evidence behind it, nothing tangible. So him saying, oh, well, snakes in the grass, there has to be a reason for him saying that. But just for him stopping the fight, he was getting beat. He said, I was still in the fight. I can do. Everybody thinks that shit that don't want the fight stopped. They still think, I got one punch left. I can do it. Stop. Please don't stop the fight. But that don't mean it's the best thing for them to be, because they're not in any position to make a firm decision. And it's easy for Wilder to, when he got out of that position, to say, I wasn't ready and I didn't want the fight to be stopped, even if he said it at that time. Because if he said it at that time, that means his adrenaline was up and he was still in the fight in his mind. If your mind's compromised, okay, look at it this way. Let's look at it this way. What if the LDBC was right? And there was some spiked water shit and he was drugged. Let's say he was drugged. Okay. Right? All right. If he was drugged, then there was definitely a reason to stop the fight. And if that's the case, if Mark Breland stopped the fight because he knew he was drugged, if you cared for Wilder knowing or believing he was drugged, why would you want him to fight? You see what I'm saying? That's the thing. So at the end of the day, if Mark Breland sabotaged his own fighter after being with Mark Breland that fucking long, you know what I mean? And it's nothing that, like, okay, did Mark get a whole bunch of money from somewhere? Because I remember, was it Melvina Lathan? In the Lewis Holyfield 1 fight, where she got a large amount of money that was deposited in her account that nobody knew. They did some investigation. Oh, yeah. And that's where they were like, mischief. Right? Probable cause of mischief. So I just want to know. I'm going to reach out to Mark Breland, because, I mean, we need answers. He may not want to speak or whatever, but I just wonder why the hell it's been this long. But as far as Wilder goes, for his sake, I hope he made the right decision. But I don't believe he did. That's my counterpunch on that. Jim Brown, you're right. Everybody can be beat. You're one of the GOATs. Appreciate you, man. Just a guy that loves boxing. Lee Campbell, what's popping, my brother? You good? Absolutely, Lee Campbell. How you doing? 100% up in here. Best bully Scotland. If you haven't been beat or close to being beat, you aren't trying. or you haven't been tested, you haven't really been tested. How can Floyd ruin the sport of boxing? He's not the first guy to do any of the stuff he's doing. No, he's not. He's just the only one. I think what it is, he's the only one that made the most money doing it. Fight News. That's what I believe. Same reason Mike Tyson was fighting absolutely nobodies, that they do it for entertainment. Fight News. No, that's false. Mike Tyson was just like Roy Jones at one point. Mike Tyson was in a league of his own because at the time where Mike was kicking and knocking people out, spark out, was a time where there really wasn't any challenging heavyweights. People forget Tyson reigned in the 80s and he was locked up most of the early 90s. He didn't get out. I think he got like knocked. He got locked up in 90, 91. I think it was in 90, and he didn't come out to like 95. I think 95. Yeah, because I was a freshman in high school at that time. So I remember the fight really well. He fought Peter McNeely and knocked him out because I remember where I was and everything. But he had most of his heyday people. He was in jail, knocking out prisoners that thought he was soft. And he had to bust them up. I seen a documentary about it, man. It was crazy. And he was telling the people, Mike was a savage, man. You didn't want to, because see, people thought Mike was just this dude that knew how to fight, that knew nothing of being locked up. And the people that thought that, woe be unto them, because they thought, oh yeah, this is just a little light-voiced ass dude that boxed. I could beat his ass. No. Mike was like, these guys in prison, they think they tough. They ain't tough. They think they tough till you put that pain to them. You put that pain to them, then they'll cry like a little baby, like a little bitch. Yo, he said that. That shit was crazy. Wasim Bud, what's up? I always enjoy your knowledge and truths. Who do you got winning Fury Wilder 3 if the fight happens? I have no idea. Because I haven't seen enough of Wilder. And I just did a video on Fury. I'm going to release it tomorrow. See, I do multiple videos at one time. So a lot of times you guys see videos I make. I might make 3 videos about the same person, about, just covering different stuff. But then I release them at different times. So stay tuned for those. Khan still stepped up when called for. Yeah, he does. But Khan, though, honestly, Khan was that kind of guy. He was an overachiever. He was very ambitious. And I had to call and counterpunch Khan a lot too, because Khan was avoiding certain fights that he should have fought, I believe. Kurt, do you hear that Malik Scott has a large role in Wilder's camp this time around? Ryan Weatherson, I do, and I have an exclusive interview by a very special guest that tells me all about it. I might release it tomorrow, but I have to release some other videos before that one. It has to build up. So stay tuned for that. D1115X. Let's see if Fury now employs Mark Breland like Fury previously stated. How pissed would Wilder be if Fury take him on? D, look. Not only is it a great idea to hire Mark Breland, it's also a great idea to hire him simply because it's a mind game. And it ain't the first time nobody's done that. Remember when Alex Ariza used to be with Manny Pacquiao? Remember that? He used to be with Manny Pacquiao and Freddie Roach. And Freddie Roach, they fired him because of some kind of special drink and shit. Remember that? And things that he was doing he didn't like. And Freddie Roach fired him, right? What did Alex Ariza do? Alex Ariza went to Team Rios and he started working with Roberto Garcia and Rios, right? Facts. So it can happen. I mean, he didn't win. Pacquiao still ate his ass up, but Brandon Rios, that's his first name, Brandon. And he went over there because remember he kicked Freddie Roach in the chest. Remember that? He Leonidas him in the chest because he was mimicking him. And then Freddie Roach came, and Freddie Roach, he may have Parkinson's, but you don't want to get hit by that dude either. He's still dangerous. He's a dangerous old man. Like you think Teddy Atlas won't punch you? That dude will punch anybody. I don't give a shit if he's 71. You'll still end up having to fight this dude. You know what I mean? You get them pissed off. You know, those guys have short tempers and they know how to fight. And since they know how to fight, they have the instinct to react due to whatever. So if you piss them off, they're going to punch you. You know, now if they whoop you, that's a different story. I hope they don't. For your sake, and if they do, I hope nobody sees it, because they're going to put that shit on WorldStar. And the first thing they're going to say is, oh, yeah, you know, Teddy Atlas beats up, you know, a young, tall black dude. It would be epic if Fury gets Mark Breland in his corner for the trilogy fight. It would play into Fury's favor. Yeah, it would be crazy. Personally, I never really rated Mark Breland. No, he was one of the best amateurs ever. I know that much. But then again, they do say that the fighters that are the best are not the best trainers. So you may have something with that, Fight News. Yeah. Wilder's getting knocked Spark out again by the champ. I don't know about getting knocked Spark out. I don't see him knocking out Wilder. I see him stopping Wilder, not knocking him out. If it's going to be in Fury's favor, it's going to be just from a beat down. Okay, it ain't going to be like just one punch that knocks him out. And if it does, you've heard it here. I'll be surprised, and I will stand corrected and stand counterpunched. So help me God. Ref was about to stop it anyway. Well, that's what Kenny Bayless said. I don't know if that's true, but that's what Kenny Bayless said, and I do question that, because I think Kenny Bayless was there on the behalf of Wilder. I think he was, you know, referees are favored to referee or over officiate certain fighters. Like he gave Fury a point out the fucking blue. Yeah. And he said nothing about the behind the head punches, because both of them were actually landing behind the head punches. In fact, I intend on, probably next weekend when I have some time, I'm going to do a live stream and count with you guys and count how many times each fighter hit each other behind the head. You know? Shit, we can do it together. Why not? If Mark Breland were to go with Fury, he'd basically be signing his own death warrant as a trainer. It's so snaky to go ahead and do that. Paul, Alex Ariza did it. He did the same shit. That's exactly what he did. He went to branding Team Rios after leaving Team Pacquiao. So it's nothing unheard of, but I will say this. It will give a whole lot of content to the alphabet channels, my friends. They will see that shit, and if Tyson Fury hires Mark Breland and he accepts, they're gonna eat that shit up. You're gonna see a little Aki and them motherfuckers, they gonna, dog. You see, like we would prove that the snakes in the grass was Mark Breland, and Mark Breland was the guy that sabotaged this whole ordeal that caused the first loss of Deontay Wilder. That's why, by default, these guys need to give his O back and mark it off the books, because it was direct sabotage that has been proven now. That type of bullshit. God of War, what's up, brother? Yeah, too many yes men. JD's is a clown. I'm going to do a live chat after I come from the gym too, you know, because I'm going to shut down in a couple minutes. I got to go to the gym. But I want you guys to go over to my community and vote on JD's or Mark Breland, which one should have went. Because I got about maybe 1,000. I want at least 1,500 to 2,000 before I do a Q&A on that. I'm telling you, spark out. Okay. James Toney versus Tommy Hearns. That would have been a good one. BLU. What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you, man. If you guys want to hear some great unbiased content, go over to Boxing Logics United. Thank you for the super chat, brother. I'm an Arab. I can't stand Aki. Mad, annoying, that guy. Yeah, I mean, you know, he's been prepped by some of the best alphabet channels, that are around, in that consortium. Buatsi later today? I don't think so. Well done. It's all his career. I'm off anyway. See you later, mate. Technical Madman. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Did anyone watch Cepeda versus? No, I didn't see it. I was out eating. I was celebrating my birthday, so celebrated this weekend. Had a pretty good time. I don't see him knocking Spark out, Kurt. Yeah, I don't. I see. Look, Tyson Fury. Obviously he can hurt Wilder, and he's gonna hit him with punches. And that's all it's gonna do is make Fury. I mean, wake Wilder into defense mode, and his defense is really, this is his defense. That's what he always does. Or he'll grab, you know. But a lot of times those grabs were initiated by Fury because Fury know he had that extra weight and he could lay on him and shit like that. So, no problem, bro. Going over there to Boxing Logics United, man. I'll go. A lot of times we'll go on live chats and we'll start a topic, a random topic with random fighters, boxers like we do here. And yeah, it's fun stuff over there. He brings the drink and all that shit too. A lot of times I'll get the drink and starts talking mad shit. Best boxing channel out there. Thank you, brother. I've never heard anything from JD, but set up the right. Why are we talking about Wilder anyway? He's been proven to be irrelevant. Ooh, snot gobbler. Counterpunch to you, sir. That was bold and direct and daring. Says, I'm Arab, but I can't stand Aki. He's annoying, that guy. Yeah, he's... I'm going to tell you, man, a lot of people, they are exactly the opposite that their words project. Like a lot of people say they're brash or they're outspoken and this, that, and the other. It's like a dog with a big bark and a little bite. Like I've learned about those guys. They don't, like some of them, especially him. He doesn't really want conflict, see, if a person look at it this way, you want a person to call in on your live chat so your fans or your subscribers that like you can roast the person that's calling. I'm not doing that shit. He can't even answer questions on his own live feed. You know what he does? He'll block you. He'll block you. And when he does that, that just shows you that you don't want to answer the questions because the fucking questions are too thick. You don't have an answer for them. Like a lot of people don't have answers for questions that you ask. And the answers that the answers that you don't have are the questions that discredit what you're trying to say that is true. That's facts. Just say, hey, you believe. Yeah, he really is. He really is. And I thought that, maybe he was that Tupac, little scrappy of the boxing thing. Like, hey, yeah, I believe this. This is what this, that. No, you just pitch propaganda like all the other guys. You're following those footsteps. They're getting him subscribers. I mean, good for him. But don't come over here trying to throw copyright strikes around like you have a leg to stand on without even contacting me. If you didn't believe shit I had to say, you could have contacted me. I'm easy found. Okay? I'm easy found. Dan Fogg. Dante Boxing Nation's flunky. Arab cat named Aki. Him and Dante, they did a tag team on this channel once upon not too long ago, about a month ago now. Probably almost a month ago. And thank God I got it back, but it was due to like, hey, this is what I'm not going to allow you guys to do because it ain't the case. But when you talk about wanting to kill a man in the ring, you have no place in boxing. The sooner Wilder walks off into the distance with his lies, ducking excuses, the better. Well, snot gobbler, you know what? It's not that. The sad thing is, what if he really means it? And if he really means that, that means that he's willing to die himself. And I don't want to see neither. You know what I mean? Because it's you got to be careful of what you say you want to do to other people. And see, when you have that mindset to kill someone or to hurt someone, inflict pain on someone that bad, a lot of times your desire to do that affects your strategy. It hinders your strategy because you're thinking more about hurting a person instead of thinking about how to get a job done. It's almost trying to grab something really so bad and then you end up knocking it off the table. You ever done that? That's that type of thing because you lost focus. So, Wilder, he better be careful on, the words that he chooses, you know, so it is what it is. Okay, what was the name of the documentary you saw about Mike Tyson in prison? Um, I don't know the documentary. You know what I'm gonna tell you exactly how you find it. You find it, John Dyson. Look up David Tua. Look at David Tua, Mike Tyson, because he was talking about David Tua, and he was saying like Mike. He's saying like David Tua. I like David Tua. What's that? I want to say that was David Tua because I remember what he said. He said I like David Tua. He's like, hey, what you gonna do when you getting your ass whooped? You fight back. Because he was talking about when David Tua was fighting Ike Barabucci, and it was a good fight still. He was losing and he lost, but he had one hell of a fight. Those guys landed more fights in a heavyweight up to that time than any heavyweight fight, a 12-round fight. And they were throwing bombs. But I think that's what that was, man. Because I know this was 2000. Yeah, this was like 2000. And Tyson, man, he was saying that, man. People think they're tough. Hold on, man. Hold on a second. Let me look this up because now it's bothering me. Because I don't want to tell you some shit and not be able to. Um, hope KO KOs. I hope Fury KOs Wilder from Mark Breland. What's you up, Kurt, and everyone? Buddy Gunner, what's up, brother? Counter punch to you. Not for Mark Breland. See, he's done some though, like recent. Um, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, wait. Mike Tyson jail interview one. Okay, so this is by. Okay, John Dyson. Look up Mike Tyson jail interview one. It says rare. It's by The Boxing R Us. He explained a little bit about it. And then you have part Larry King interview with Mike Tyson in prison. So that's another good source. Um, and that's by Ant Marine. Is that Lil? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mike Tyson did. Yeah, he did say that. But I mean, I remember when he knocked out Clifford ATN. He knocked him out, man, and he helped that man get up. And what's funny, ATN told him, before ATN went back into a life of crime, sad thing, but he told him, like, you need to stop bullshitting. You really need to stop bullshitting because Mike still had the power. Mike could hit you and knock you out. Mark Breland didn't duck nobody. He's more of a man than Wilder can ever be. Be good if you did a vid with boxing with Ade. See, I was saying Ade. It's Ade. Okay. Paul. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'll reach out to him. Counterpunched a video where I, agreed with him partially on a particular fight. I referenced his one of his clips and in a video, and he has some knowledge there. Still fuming. Sorry, guys. I know. I know, buddy. Some fighters get wrapped up in their own propaganda. Yeah, that's true. I just hope Wilder's not wrapped up in his. Because if he thinks and believes that shit, because a lot of things he can't prove. So if he believes that shit with Tyson Fury and they do everything, you know. But I think what'll help Wilder is if they use precaution and do everything to satisfy Wilder's camp, Wilder's mind himself, that Tyson Fury couldn't have cheated. Because they've watched him from the dressing room all the way up to the ring. I think he will be better prepared mentally. Okay, so, but anyway, guys, I'm gonna hit the gym. I will go to the community, vote, okay, on my last question. Then we'll do a live again, and I'll see you guys there. And everybody on the chat, hope to see you guys in maybe a couple hours. Until then, you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.